Hey.
So NBA free agency has started, it's not quite gone yet, but we've pretty much sorted through all of the big names and the big movers. Still a few dominoes to fall with guys like James Harden and Damian Lillard requesting trades, but in terms of actual free agent signings, it's pretty much done. Woj and Shams are currently just, cleaning up the crumbs of the bunch. Anyway, I've been very impressed by what the Phoenix Suns have been able to do this offseason. It already feels like it happened decades ago, but again, Bradley Beal got traded earlier this offseason for Chris Paul, and it seemed like that trade would put the Suns into a pretty big hole as they approach free agency. Considering they only had 6 guys or something like that on contract for this next season, they had to find a way to fill up 9 roster spots with, basically only minimum contracts to hand out. But by some freak nature accident, God's will, they have done it, and they've done it pretty well. Now, obviously, it helps when you already have a core of, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, and DeAndre Ayton. Those are 4, all-star, even better caliber guys. So it made the Phoenix Suns a pretty hot destination. So what did the Suns do to fill out the rest of their roster after only having 6 players? Well, they added Jordan Goodwin and Isaiah Todd from Washington as a part of the CP3 Beal trade, which Jordan Goodwin, I'll be honest, I didn't really watch much of the Wizards, but Twitter seems to think that was a very good pickup. Isaiah Todd is also another just intriguing, maybe he turns into something of a role player pickup. So those 2 additions brought the roster total to 8, and the rest would come via free agency. The biggest name that the Suns added was Eric Gordon. Now apparently he had a couple of offers on the table, some with some more money from other teams, so it goes to show again that Phoenix was a prime destination for free agents this offseason, as Eric Gordon chose to join them for less money. Now his deal is fully guaranteed. He's going to be making a little over $3 million for the next 2 seasons. Now Eric Gordon's an interesting case. He's going to be 35 for this upcoming season, so definitely on his way out. Still performing though, definitely still performing. Last season he averaged 12 points, had a couple of assists, shot 37% from 3 on the year, but shot 42% after being traded to the Clippers, so definitely great numbers and exactly what the Suns are looking for. Although I will add, it was funny that, I forget who tweeted it, but when the signing got announced, someone threw in the fact that he was a former 6th Man of the Year, which if you go back and look at that 6th Man of the Year award was from the Obama administration. So got a good laugh out of that one. Regardless though, Eric Gordon will have a player option on the 2nd year of his deal. So again, he'll have a year to figure things out, see what the Suns get up to, and go from there. Suns also went ahead and re-signed Damian Lee to a very similar 2-year deal. He's going to be making $2.6 million both those years, fully guaranteed, and a player option on the 2nd year, just like the Eric Gordon contract. Now again, Damian Lee will probably just be a reserve, much like he was last season for the Suns, but he did have some big moments. He had some nice stints. The one moment I always remember is that one game against the Blazers where he just detonated in the 4th quarter and put up a bunch of points. And I don't really remember him doing much else, but he's a solid pickup, solid player to retain. Next up, they added Drew Eubanks on a 2-year deal where he will be making about $2.5 million each year. And again, much like a lot of the other names on this list, Drew Eubanks is just a very solid backup option. He can give you some spot starts, he'll play some defense, he'll score some buckets in the paint, he'll play physical, he'll hustle. Again, he'll just fill into that Jock Landale role that he was taking over near the end of last season. If you aren't convinced on Drew Eubanks, you can go back and watch some Portland tape from last season. I don't know who in their right mind would do that just to watch Drew Eubanks, but to each their own. And the next name we're going to talk about, as this will wrap up the sort of, ring chasing portion of the free agent signings, but Yuta Watanabe, also just a really solid pickup. They got him for 1 year at $2.3 million. He had a sort of breakout year for the Brooklyn Nets last year, only got 16 minutes a game and only averaged 5 points a game, but he shot 44% from 3, which was near the top of the league. I remember he was number 1 for the first couple months of the season. So again, Suns just adding some shooting off the bench, maybe you could just plug him in with the starters and see what happens. Keita Bates-Diop, who was getting some solid minutes and solid playing time for the Spurs last year. He can play the 3 or 4. Solid wing, get you some defense, good in transition. But he is signed for the next 2 seasons. Meanwhile, these other 2 guys are only signed for 1 year, and it'll be a 1-year prove-it deal. First is Chimezie Metu, who has been on and off in Sacramento for the start of his career. Although he did show enough flashes that I'm intrigued to see what he's able to do with some more playing time if he earns it in Phoenix. At his base, he's just a big athletic guy who can also shoot the ball from here and there. So again, just see how it goes. And then Josh Okogie is re-signing on a 1-year deal for $2.3 million. And he got a good amount of starts last year after the Kevin Durant trade, as he was just kind of the plug in and figure it out guy for them. Because, he could play the 2, he could play the 3. Really great defender, so for that alone, he'll probably see a good amount of playing time, at least at the start of the season. But like most of the guys they're taking chances on, if Okogie could just figure out the jump shot just a little bit, get it a little bit better, he will again be a really good addition to the rest of this team. So with all those guys getting signed, Suns have officially hit 15 players on the roster. Other offseason news and transactions they made, obviously Monty Williams left the team, not the head coach any longer, as the Suns brought in Frank Vogel. Now, Vogel, known for winning the bubble championship with the LA Lakers, will be bringing that championship pedigree to Phoenix. He's more of a defensive-minded coach, which, looking at this roster, is something that they probably need more than an offensive-minded coach, so that's good. But from what I remember, Vogel really wasn't even bad at the Lakers job that he last held. Obviously won the championship, which is something that only one coach every year can say. But it wasn't even like Vogel was doing bad when he got fired by the Lakers. It was more so just that he was the scapegoat for a team that was slightly underperforming just due to injuries to, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, their best players, as well as a bunch of other guys on the team were also getting hurt. So even though Monty Williams was a great guy, one of my favorite just coaching personalities in the league, brought them to a championship opportunity back in 2021 against the Bucks, but I do think that this is the right move. Vogel will be, at the very least, a good fresh start. So with Phoenix having a new head coach, a full 15-man roster, they still have their 2-way contracts and all that stuff to figure out. But right now, I just want to take a stab at what I think their depth chart will be looking like to open the year. And the starting lineup looks great. Devin Booker and Bradley Beal manning the backcourt. You now have Eric Gordon at the 3, KD and DeAndre Ayton at the front court. There's plenty of offense. Booker, Beal, Durant are all guys who could probably average 30 per game on their own team. Eric Gordon, although he's getting up there in age, he is still a tremendous scorer and can shoot the heck out of the ball. It's more so the defense that I'm worried about, especially if DeAndre Ayton is going to continue to not put in the best effort. But that's where the bench comes in. Campaign, very solid point of attack defender. Josh Okogie, probably the best defender on this team, and just a great defender in general. Keita Bates-Diop, solid defender. Metu, solid defender. Drew Eubanks, solid defender. It's the offense that worries me for the bench, obviously, because there is no one who I just named who can go and just get you a bucket. Although, at the same time, as long as Booker, Beal, and Durant are all healthy, you could get away with at least having one of those guys on the court at all times. You can probably find a good way to keep 2 of them on the court at the same time. So, again, while there definitely is a lack of offense on the bench, you'll be able to keep one of those guys in, and hopefully they can steady the ship for those reserve minutes. As of now, they're definitely a championship contender. I would love to see a rematch between the Nuggets and the Suns come playoff time. I also think it's very likely that we see a DeAndre Ayton trade at some point this season. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me to keep, 4 guys who are making a ton of money while the rest of the team is made up of guys on minimum contracts. And with, Booker, Beal, and Durant being the big 3, and DeAndre Ayton already being a bit of an outcast on this Phoenix team, it's just super likely that he is going to be the one that gets traded. Even though they said he's off the market and they're not trading him, the only reason they said that is because they have no reason to trade him right now. They're in no rush. They're not going to take a bad deal just to get rid of DeAndre Ayton. He's still a good player. But as the season gets going and, things change, the landscape in the NBA changes. And, once a good deal comes up, I bet they will be shipping off DeAndre Ayton at the first, chance they get once a good deal comes up. Some centers who I think would be a great trade partner for the Suns as, they get going. Miles Turner has already been linked to them a couple times. Clint Capella seems to be on his way out of Atlanta with them potentially looking to rebuild, and they also have Onyeka Okongwu waiting in the wings. Jared Allen has been brought up in trade talks a bunch, so Cleveland could be looking to move him. Nikola Vucevic just signed a very trade-friendly extension with the Chicago Bulls. Then even like a Yusuf Nurkic or a Jonas Valanciunas wouldn't be the worst pickup. They're on the cheaper side, so you could get other pieces back with them, better pieces back with them. And again, they wouldn't be the best players, but they're both on teams who could easily trade them and they'll look for other avenues to go. Either way, whether they trade DeAndre Ayton or not, this Phoenix Suns team should at least be a very, very fun team to watch. I assume they'll probably have a lot of primetime games just because of the fact that they have Devin Booker, Brad Beal, and Kevin Durant. And they're the first big three, true big three, since Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie in Brooklyn, which, that era gets a lot of shit, and for good reason. But I think people should also remember that when those three were healthy in Brooklyn, they were easily a top team in the league, and it was really just a bunch of injuries that derailed them. And, we all remember the Kevin Durant shoe potential game winner. And, as funny as that situation was, if Kevin Durant is 1 inch back, there's a pretty good chance that the Brooklyn Nets end up winning a ring in 2021. And this entire future and present is probably changed in a very drastic way. Anyway, that's enough for me. I feel like I've already been talking way longer than I wanted to about the Phoenix Suns. But that'll do it for this video. As always, drop a comment, leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Or if you're looking for more content from me, you can follow me on Twitter at KokinosNoah. Outside that, I hope you all have a good rest of your day.